Alright, let's talk about the Alamo. In the pantheon of American legend, the Alamo is a sacred ground. It's the story of 200 brave Texan rebels holding off of thousands of Mexican soldiers in a heroic last stand for freedom. Remember, the Alamo is the ultimate battle cry of defiance. The only problem, the actual story of the Alamo is a tactical disaster, a complete military failure that got brilliantly rebranded as a moral victory. First, let's look at the brilliant strategy. The Texan commander William B. Travis and Jim Bowie decided to make their last stand at the Alamo, a crumbling former Spanish mission. It was a terrible choice. The mission walls were in disrepair. It had a massive perimeter that was nearly impossible to defend with their small force, and it was located miles from any help or supplies. It wasn't a fortress, it was a death trap. They voluntarily boxed themselves into a place that couldn't possibly hold, and the defense itself was a mess. The commanders couldn't even agree on a plan. Travis wanted to fight a pitched battle. Bowie, who was deadly ill, wanted to hold out for reinforcement. The result was a confused, disjointed command structure. Meanwhile, the men inside were a motley crew of Anglo settlers, Tejanos, and adventurers who were low on food, ammunition, and most importantly, water. They were brave, no doubt, but they were also undersupplied, outnumbered, and strategically cornered by their own leadership. Now let's talk about the heroic part of a story. The 13-day siege wasn't a non-stop glorious battle. It was mostly a slow, grinding wait for reinforcement that never came. Travis's famous victory or death letter was a desperate plea for help that fell on deaf ears. The final assault was on March 6, 1836. Wasn't an epic hours-long struggle, it was a complete rout. The Mexican army, led by Santa Anna, breached the walls in about an hour, and the fighting was over in minutes. It wasn't a battle, it was a massacre. Every single defender was killed. So, a strategically flawed position, a confused command, and total defeat where everyone died. By any military standard, the Alamo was an unmitigated disaster. It achieved nothing tactically. It didn't stop Santa Anna's army, it just delayed it slightly. So how did this failure become the ultimate symbol of Texan heroism? Propaganda. The story of the Alamo was a perfect recruitment tool. While the bodies were still warm, the narrative of 200 heroes sacrificing themselves for liberty was being spread across Texas. It enraged the Texas population and turned a political squabble over land and autonomy into a holy war of vengeance. Sam Houston used the fury over the Alamo to whip his army into a frenzy. Just few weeks later, at the Battle of San Jacinto, his men didn't just fight, they massacred Santa Anna's troops, screaming "Remember the Alamo" as they took their revenge. The victory of the Alamo wasn't in fighting, it was in dying. The sacrifice itself became a weapon. It was a tactical loss so profound, so complete, that it created an emotional impact far greater than any military win could have. The Alamo is the ultimate proof that you can lose every battle and still win the war, as long as you have a really good marketing department. They didn't just lose a fort, they created a myth that won a revolution.